Welcome to Worthwhile Watches. I'm Rob. Today we're going to start something new. This is part 1 of a series of 5 short reviews, each featuring a different Rolex Submariner homage from several different price ranges. At the end, there will be a final comparison. We'll begin with what I believe is one of the most interesting Submariner homages in the under $100 price range, the Invicta Pro Diver. Is it a worthwhile watch? Well, let's talk about it. When many watch enthusiasts hear the name Invicta, something like this comes to mind. But there is an Invicta that stands apart from all those crazy monstrosities, the Pro Diver. Invicta actually has a long history going all the way back to 1837. Invicta made quality pocket watches and wristwatches and were responsible for several technological advancements. They produced many tasteful designs through most of the 19th and 20th centuries until eventually becoming a victim of the quartz crisis. In the 1990s, they were revived and ultimately emerged with the new, bolder marketing direction that we all know. But back to the Pro Diver. There are many different colors and options available in this range, but I'm referencing the model 8926OB, which is the classic black dial 40mm automatic version. It's a simple Submariner homage with reasonable specs and a solid movement, and can often be found for very low prices if you can catch it on sale. I'm going to start with the good points about this watch and then gradually descend into the more unfortunate features as we go. The movement in this watch is one of its strong points. The Seiko NH35 is usually a reliable and consistent performer, and a very nice movement for a watch in this price range. My particular watch has a nice smooth crown and good thread engagement. The date and time setting functions operate with solid fluidity, as expected. This Invicta has pretty good wearable measurements with a 40mm case and bezel, a thickness of a bit over 14mm, a lug-to-lug measurement of about 47.5mm, and 20mm lug width. The weight sized for my 6 3/4 inch wrist is 154 grams. The case is well finished, especially considering the low price. However, if you look at the other side of the case... Well, go on. Show them the other side of the case.
I don't wanna.
Come on, you have to show them. What, are you ashamed?
Well, kind of.
They have to be able to see the whole watch.
Okay, but don't say I didn't warn you.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty rough. That's a bummer. But it actually used to be worse. As you may have noticed, my watch is not quite original. I brushed the sides of the case and the polished center links on the bracelet with a Scotch-Brite pad. Because I really dislike polished center links, I planned to do this when I bought it, and did it pretty much straight out of the box. In my opinion, it looks much better all brushed, and the brushed finish really helps lessen the impact of that gnarly Invicta on the side of the case. There are also tutorials online about how to remove it completely if you really hate it. But hey, some of you might like the Invicta on the case, and if you do, go ahead and proudly rock it. This watch comes with a display case back, allowing for a view of the NH35A movement inside and the custom Invicta yellow rotor. I have heard reports that some newer watches don't have the yellow rotor anymore. That would be a shame. I haven't confirmed if this is widespread, but don't be shocked if you end up ordering one of these and it comes without the yellow rotor. I swapped out the display caseback on my watch for a solid caseback in an attempt to reduce the thickness a bit, but it only seems to have trimmed less than a millimeter off the height, and didn't really make a huge difference in how it wears. My watch with the aftermarket case currently measures 13.7 millimeters thick. The bracelet on this watch is a bit cheap and rattly, but not terrible. The end links are hollow, but the links appear to be solid, but I'm not sure about that. The adjustable links are held together with split pins. The clasp is a pressed, fold-over friction fit with Invicta branding and 4 micro-adjust holes. It's not the best bracelet by any means, but it gets the job done and looks reasonably good from a few feet away. This watch has mineral crystal, but at this price I won't fault it. There doesn't seem to be much, if any, anti-reflective coating, but overall it's not bad, and the Cyclops features decent magnification and is well positioned and lined up straight. This watch is quite comfortable to wear. I like the proportions of the case, being similar to the 5-digit Submariner cases with slimmer lugs, rather than the wider, modern super case dimensions. The main problem I have with this watch is the height of the case back. This can push the watch up on the wrist and cause gapping under the lugs. The quartz variations are much flatter and wear nicer in my opinion. My replacement case back helps a little, but it still sits a bit high. This isn't a huge issue in actual use, but an area that could definitely be refined. Descending a bit further down into the den of disappointment, it's time to talk about the bezel. The bezel looks okay. It has a glossy, ceramic-like quality to it, though I'm not sure what the bezel insert material actually is. The numbers are clear and the lume pip is well centered. The problem is when you try to turn it. It's really stiff and takes a lot of force. The scalloped edge of the bezel doesn't provide quite enough grip to turn it easily. I find the easiest way is to get a thumbnail in there, which allows for getting more torque. When on wrist, it's even harder to use. There's also quite a lot of slop and backplay, although I will say mine lines up pretty well. Sliding all the way down into the den of defeat, we now have to talk about the lume. This time-lapse tells the story pretty clearly. The lume starts weak and fades fast. Not much to see here, but considering the price, this is a shortcoming I can forgive. Overall, I like this watch. There are some Chinese brands that produce similar homages with better specs for a similar price, such as Addy's Dive, Steel Dive, Cadison, or Pagani. But these don't come from a brand with actual heritage. If that's important to you, the Invicta is hard to beat in this price range. But if not, maybe one of the Chinese brands would offer you more bang for your buck. In my opinion, the Invicta Pro Diver is a solid watch. It's reliable and quite well made. There are a few bummers, including the bezel action and lume, but it has served me very well so far, and considering what I paid for it, it's definitely been worthwhile. Next time we'll continue with another sub-homage in a slightly higher price range, but still well under $500, and this one is titanium. If you think you know what it is, leave a guess in the comments if you want. We've got 4 more watches to compare, so please like and subscribe if you don't want to miss upcoming videos. I'll see you next time, and until then, no matter what's on your wrist, Invicta or otherwise, make your day worthwhile.